that is close to my heart, literally hole in heart. Well, at one time in my teenage years, I was diagnosed as possibly having a hole in heart. So as you can imagine, I have a personal experience when it comes to wondering what is really going on inside of you. Now, if you happen to have been born with this condition as an infant, it's slightly different. You're not really conscious about who you are. You don't have an identity, and it's usually your parents that have, this heart-wrenching time. Will our child live or die? I'm talking about hole in heart. And with me in the studio, as I mentioned earlier, is a world-renowned expert surgeon, Professor Frimpong Boateng, president of the Ghana Heart Foundation, who have for years footed half of the bill of all heart surgery patients who do not have the means to pay for their own surgery and post-medical care. And Kingsley Mensah, CEO of THK International, who have an innovative campaign. They've partnered with MTN, Tigo and Airtel to raise money for hole in heart patients, as well as some others, such as those in need of dialysis who are suffering from kidney failure. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or you just want to be a part of this conversation, you can do so easily via Facebook. Fantastic platform right here, and I'm logged on live. I can see here that Major Brooklyn is very critical of the number of Nigerian movies we are playing on TV3, and that goes to the Made in Ghana goods. Do you think Made in Ghana movies are made in Ghana good? Really interesting post right there. Emmanuel Adai says he wants me to say hi to your wife, Laurentia Anima. Samuel Yakwa wishing all his friends, including Kenam Cedro, who's writing her BEC exam success. Al Hassan Lukman, well, you're most grateful for the treasure of sunrise. Well, so am I. Anointing Lana, so today is your birthday. Thank God for your life. Well, indeed, thank God. And Gabriel simply saying good morning sunrise, along with Rutherford Wisdom Freeman, who says wish all Tadisco business students a very good morning, especially Angela, Dorothy, Paul, Martin, etc. Thank you. Prof, good morning, and thank you for the treasure of the gift that you've been giving to everyone who's in need of heart surgery, and the same to you, Kingsley Mensah. But very briefly, Prof, tell me once again, what is it that causes hole in heart, and how would you explain a hole in heart to a person like myself, who is simply a layman and just thinks of it, okay, I've got a heart with a hole in it?
Well, in Ghana, people use the term hole in heart to describe all heart disease that children are born with. I mean, if you come to the world with heart disease, they will say hole in heart. But there are a lot of varieties, sometimes there's a natural hole in the heart which has to be sealed. Sometimes a passage for the flow of blood in the heart will be narrow or too wide, or a valve may not be functioning, or there's duplication of some vessels, or interchange of blood vessels, one which may go into the left side, may go to the right, and so these are all complex conditions termed together as hole in heart.
What causes them, Prof? The heart is such an important organ. Most people, if you say name some human organs, they say brain, heart, kidney, liver, lungs.
Well, the heart is very special in the sense that it provides the transportation means to send nutrients to the body, and also waste material for excretion. And the causes, most of the time, we may not know. But of course, even if you don't know, there's a cause for it. But there are certain conditions that predispose people to having hole in heart. Some infections, some type of drugs. An infection that is well known is rubella, or what we call German measles, which looks like a heat rash. When a mother gets that infection in the early months of pregnancy, it's just like heat rash, and it will disappear without any treatment. The mother may not even notice it, but it has the potential of causing blindness, mental retardation, and heart disease in the unborn child.
That's interesting.
So, that is why in some countries where the means are available, they vaccinate all children, girls, all children against rubella. So that is it. And then I also believe that the heart forms very early. Within a few days, one can identify the areas on the growing fetus where the heart will be formed. So by the end of the 8th week, the heart is completely formed. So you can imagine that any organ that forms that quickly has the potential of getting something wrong if there's a disease. For example, even I believe that an ordinary serious febrile illness in pregnancy can affect the development of the heart. So that is why we say that we should take care of the mothers, especially in the early months of pregnancy. You take anti-malarials, make sure you are, even psychologically, you don't disturb them, because all these are, if somebody is sad, is mediated by hormones and chemicals that can also affect the development of other organs. So make sure of what you take, what you eat, rest, and have rest, adequate recreation, as it were, and so that we don't disturb the women in pregnancy.
Prof, I had a really good description of heart surgery once. I mean, for lay people, I read somewhere that you can compare heart surgery to an engine overhaul. Whilst the car is driving, it's in motion, and you're trying to overhaul the engine. And that's what heart surgeons do, cardiothoracic surgeons. You work on human hearts whilst we are still alive and the heart is still beating and the body is still working. And I'm wondering what it means when you consider heart surgery in infants. Is that like trying to fix a watch whilst it's still ticking?
No, there are certain minor operations that you can perform on the heart, around the heart, when the heart is still beating. But then if you have to, let's say, seal a hole in the heart, if you have to change a valve, then you have to stop the heart.
You stop the heart?
You stop
Isn't
the
that
heart.
called death?
No, it's not death.
When your heart stops beating, most of us think that we're dead.
No, we are not dead. Because we have machines that will take over the functions of the heart and lungs whilst you are doing an operation. We stop the heart, but the machine called the heart-lung machine will take over the functions of the heart and lungs whilst you are doing it. So you stop the heart and the lungs from working. You cool the heart down to about 8 to 10 degrees sometimes, and then you cool the body also down.
8 to 10 degrees? That's like ice water.
Yes, the temperature of your refrigerator is about 4 degrees.
Yes.
Yes, and then you also cool the body down from 37 degrees to maybe 28, 25. In some cases, you cool down to about 15 degrees. This is to preserve the cells so that whilst you are working, they don't die. You know, some animals do that in winter. Or
they hibernate.
Even in the tropics, some fish can bury themselves under the earth for months, and when it rains, they are revived. So they go down, hibernate, reduce their metabolism, their body temperature, and they can stay there for a long time. So this is what we do.
Fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It's something that I'm hearing for the first time, honestly. And it brings to mind a really important question, the cost of it all. Because human beings, we don't have the ability to hibernate or bury ourselves and, lower our metabolism and heart rate and body temperature and come out again. It must cost a lot of money to conduct what you call the smallest or the simplest form of heart surgery. And my simple question to you is, how much? What does it cost to operate in the simplest form, the simplest, heart surgery? What would it cost?
You see, heart surgery, there are two main types: closed heart surgery and open heart surgery, where you open the heart, literally, and other cases where we don't open the heart. The closed ones are relatively cheap, but the open ones are expensive because you have to stop the heart, and then you have to activate a machine to take over the heart, or the functions of the heart. And the components of that machine are expensive and they are disposable. We don't use them for two patients. And also, if you want to replace a valve, it's also very expensive. And some of these devices, somebody needs a pacemaker, is expensive. So the inputs are expensive. And then the care after surgery, you stop the heart, you cool the patient. So he comes to intensive care, maybe cold, the heart is not working that 100%, the breathing is not normal, the central nervous system. So the systems need to recover, and it takes time. And the care on intensive care is very expensive, and that is why the heart surgery is expensive. So, but in Ghana, it is relatively cheap. That is why we all have to help the center at Korle Bu, so the doctors there can manage the patients that go there.
And this is exactly where I think you can come into the conversation, Kingsley Mensah. I mean, as the CEO of THK International, I think you've done an admirable job, even with coming up with the idea, getting MTN, Airtel, and Tigo on board in order to support the Ghana Heart Foundation and the work of Professor Frimpong Boateng. Tell me in brief how you came by this idea and how it works.
Yeah, thank you. I think that somewhere November 2010, I've been watching a lot of news footage, especially on TV3, and you show a lot of children coming from very poor families who come here asking the public to support them with that part of 50% that they are supposed to come up with when the Heart Foundation has taken up the remaining half. So sitting back, I realized that if we can, there are a lot of people out there who might want to support, but probably because of time, they cannot come to TV3 studios. They are far away. Even the ordinary woman on the street, the kenke seller, the shoemaker, might feel so worried about seeing such cases, and we want to support. So sitting back, I came out with this concept that, okay, why don't we do a kind of social networking, creating a network of Save a Life ambassadors who, wherever you are, whether you are in your bathroom, you can just tell us your location in your SMS, you go to your mobile phone, and the normal way that you send a text to a friend or a colleague, whoever, just tell us your location, and then just send to a short code, let's say on MTN 1448, and on Tigo and Airtel 1971. Then once you do that, you would have joined this network of Save a Life ambassadors, so that such people, Prof's organization can support them more. Even though Prof also, they also have a system like that, but this ours is also to beyond whole in heart. We also look at people with kidney problem who need dialysis and cannot afford the weekly session, so that we spread the money to such people. So that was the brain behind it. And when we went to MTN and Tigo and Airtel, and we told them that this is what we want to do, they willingly have granted us a platform to do that.
Do you have a specific target, a specific amount you want to raise by a specific date?
Currently, looking at the cases that come up every week and the amount involved, our target is that we are looking for ambassadors who regularly want to, donate.
Donate. How much would an ambassador need to donate in order
just
to be valuable?
Pesos.
40 pesos.
40 pesos.
We're looking for ambassadors who are able to donate 40 pesos at a time.
At a time.
That sounds wonderful. Now, Prof, how does that sound to you? What is the picture in terms of your backlog, the waiting list for surgeries, and the shortfall in funding for the Ghana Heart Foundation?
The thing is, we are behind. Africa, Ghana, we are way behind. Because according to the WHO, if you want to cover your nation adequately, you should be doing about 400 open heart cases per million of the population. So if we have a population of 24 million, then we should be doing about 9,600 cases a year. But we are not able to do 200. And that is about the best in the sub-region. And so you can see the need. So we think that the Heart Foundation thinks that there should be heart centers in almost every region, so that not only for heart surgery but for thoracic cases. Children drink caustic soda, burn their gullet, they can't eat, they inhale foreign bodies, they have measles and chest infection with pus in the chest, TB, and a host of things. And coming back to Kingsley, I was excited not only because he's trying to help heart patients, but because he also wants to, I'm always touched with him. When I was in Kolebu, sometimes I went to the children's block to donate, even because the doctors there are working very hard. And luckily, some of the cancers can be cured, like Burkitt's lymphoma. If they are diagnosed early and they are treated well, the drugs are there, they can be cured. So I think that it's a good thing, not only helping heart patients, but also helping childhood cancers. To go to the hematology department some childhood cancers that can be cured. So I will also employ Ghanaians to also build up foundations for such individuals, for kidney disease, for children with blindness, those who are deaf, so that the government alone cannot carry that burden. We must all help. And that is why I think it's a notable thing, a good thing. But having said that, I also want to say that the Heart Foundation also has a nationwide campaign where we have a short code. If you die life, LIFE, to 1766, you will donate 60 pesos to the Ghana Heart Foundation, to all networks. And they have told us that everything that is donated will go to the Heart Foundation. This is what we heard from them.
60 Ghana pesos.
Yes.
Life to 1766, and that goes straight to the Ghana Heart Foundation. And if you dial 1448 for MTN, and you text where you're from, like Kaneshi, Agona,
wherever,
Wa, Tamale, UDS. I mean, just text that to 1448 and MTN.
On MTN,
it costs you 40 pesos.
And 1971 on Airtel.
1971 on Airtel. You become an ambassador, and you also are donating 40 Ghana pesos to this. This is fantastic, good news. But I mean, let me ask you, both of you. I mean, do you think this can actually bridge the gap in funding? How is it done in other advanced societies? Is it not insurance that pays for the costs of medical care for the larger chunk of the population? Do you think it's feasible, Prof. and Kingsley, for us to bridge this gap through charitable or philanthropic activities such as donations through short codes or even bigger donations?
Yeah, I think it's a very important question. In US, as I speak today, SMS, let me say, even as at March 2013, the whole world, I mean, the SMS industry generates about over $150 billion US, and which involves about 8.6 trillion SMS. And looking at the growth in the use of mobile phones, we believe that if MTN has over 10 million subscribers and Tigo has, I think a little over 3 million or 4 million, and Airtel, and all of us on this.
MTN has 10 million or more.
Yeah, or more. And if we are able to send, let's say, 40 pesos and 60 pesos, let's say almost one city across the various medium, as Prof mentioned that of, you realize that if you look at the numbers, of Ghanaians using mobile phone, and we can do, this simple thing. In a month, we are talking about, let's say even we're having 1 million people doing this. We are talking about 3 billion old Ghana cedis. It's
a wonderful idea. I appreciate the arithmetic, but I was thinking more about the donor fatigue that I'm sure would hit very quickly, and whether this is sustainable or even expandable, considering what Prof said about us really needing to look at 10,000 surgeries and being able to do only 200.
Yeah, in fact, I didn't want to tell you the second phase. In fact, this is the first phase of the project. We have a second phase that will come somewhere in 2014. We are building. Our strategy is in two folds, and this is the first stage. The second stage is a combination of a small insurance within the same technology that we are working on.
Okay. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Prof? Is this like a welcome addition to your initiative, another short code, or do you think that we need to do something more, something else?
Ultimately, we should create wealth in this country so that we can enjoy good health care. For example, the National Health Insurance does not cover heart surgery or dialysis or most of the things that we do in the hospital, in the big hospitals. So, because we don't have money, the good thing is for us to create wealth, and that wealth creation is about industrialization, science, and technology, so that we stop the importation of things that can be produced here. Toothpicks and catapults and some of these syringes, needles, everything is important. We should use science and technology to produce something so that we may not be able to produce everything, cameras and so on for the time being, but we can save a lot of money, even money for importation of things alone. Importation and clearance of things, costs us a lot of money, added to the corruption that we see and so on. So we need to create wealth. but that will take some time. Meanwhile, the donors, traditional donors, are also encouraged to donate. But the thing is that we should use the money judiciously. I mean, if somebody donates money, it should go for its intended use and not for other things. And if we do that and people get to know, then there will be problems. So we have to be transparent in the things that we do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you once again for the fantastic work that you've been doing for everyone that would otherwise be literally helpless and without any recourse to assistance. If you want to become an ambassador, a Save a Life ambassador, all you need to do is send a text message with where you are. If you're in Accra, if you're in Osu, it can be anywhere. You can choose Kaneshie, you can choose the district, you can even go by your constituency. If you're on MTN, send a text message to 1448, and that will cost you 40 Ghana pesos and make you into a Save a Life ambassador that may be able to help again and again. And if you are on the Tigo and Airtel networks, well, then send that same location, whether it's Osu, Wa, Techiman, Kintampo to 1971. If you want to interface directly with the Ghana Heart Foundation, well, then send the text LIFE to 17661766. That's a bit more. It costs 60 Ghana pesos, but it all goes to help the people that need it the most. I've been talking to Professor Frimpong Boateng, a renowned cardiothoracic surgeon and president of the Ghana Heart Foundation, who pay 50% of the medical bills of all the people that they can help. And Kingsley Mensah, CEO of THK International, who have launched an innovative campaign to help raise funds for people who are in need of surgery, dialysis, and so on and so forth.